All right, here we go. This is our ACE writing activity that we're going to work on today. This is your individual writing assignment. You're going to watch this video, maybe answer a question or two here at the end. And at the end, I'm also going to walk you through what we did last time, looking at an example of responding to that question, the historical significance of this event depicted. Once you're done with this, you're going to submit it. And you'll see on the Google Classroom there will be a template for you to use to complete your individual writing assignment with the structure we talked about last class, as well as there's a sample that we looked at last class that everybody should have actually written up and uploaded to the website already. Remember, testing on Friday, getting ready for all that, structured writing, here we go. All right, we're going to look at a little bit of the context of the Greensborough sit-in again. Typo there, 1960, not 1860. Remember, the civil rights movement officially really kicks off in the movement being broad with the Brown v. Board of Education decision and the Supreme Court ordering in 1955 that schools must desegregate with all deliberate speed. On December 5th, 1955, the Montgomery Bus Boycott begins. Notice there's kind of a pattern that's developing here after Brown v. Board. This, of course, is connected to the actions by Rosa Parks and her subsequent arrest, and it lasts for about 381 days. It ends when the Supreme Court rules that busing segregation is illegal, and the Montgomery bus system is desegregated. And so then following that, again, there is another event, right, in Arkansas, that Little Rock crisis, on which there is a challenge to students wanting to enroll in a high school there. The Supreme Court orders that it is unconstitutional for this to happen. Other federal courts support it as well. It was enforced by Eisenhower, and eventually that particular school and then some other schools will start to gradually become desegregated. Notice the cartoon on the left there pointing to, perhaps one side not being, or you could say this is perhaps the federal government side of things, a justice looking kind of a fellow here saying this needs to be done a little bit faster, and the real world in terms of what the world is looking like, it's perhaps a little bit too gradual for the taste of many, right? The wrong horse, right? A workhorse instead of a racehorse. Moving into some other developing events out of the Montgomery bus boycott and out of, again, notice a pattern here. Things are getting organized. Things are happening. People are acting. The Southern Christian Leadership Conference is formed in 1957 at the Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, Georgia. It's an offshoot of the Montgomery Improvement Association from that boycott. The co-founders, Martin Luther King, Bayard Rustin, Ralph Abernathy, Fred Shuttlesworth, a few others, organized that particular group, and of course the focus is going to be on continuing the movement and to try to desegregate and get equality to happen throughout the country, but especially coordinate in the South. Civil disobedience and nonviolent resistance is the key and the focus and the method here. Do not fight, do not act out, even if you're provoked and or attacked yourself. Christianity, the Christian faith, is going to be linked to this. It's similar to what Gandhi had done in India in the late 1840s, breaking away from Britain, and that independence movement was inspired by Thoreau's Civil Disobedience. That's an 1840s piece of work that we'll talk about a little bit more in another class, but it was entitled Civil Disobedience. Refusing to obey unjust laws was an effective strategy, and you should do so. It's the right thing to do, even if it means going to jail. This NCC is developed and organized by the SCLC, targeting the youth of the country, young adults, students, trying to get them organized. And there is a network. Notice most of this is being spread and established throughout the South to get students involved. Jail, not bail, is going to become the popular call sign here for the group, saying that, do not ask for bail, stay in jail as a way of protest, and serve the time. Don't get bailed out if you get put in jail for breaking a particular law. And this is going to, again, reverberate throughout the South and spread throughout the South. So again, the context of events that we just looked at gradually increasing, things spreading, things growing throughout the country, and then we have our Greensborough sit-in in February 1960. As you've seen before in our previous articles and our Ed Puzzle video reviews and our lessons focusing on this, this involved 4 North Carolina college freshmen staging a sit-in at this Woolworth's department store in Greensborough, North Carolina. It's not the first sit-in ever. This type of strategy had been used by unions before, in particular the United Auto, the capital A there, workers sit-down strike in 1937. Other events used by union workers to get better pay, better work conditions have been used like this as well. The Congress of Racial Equality, which was formed in the 1940s, was another civil rights group. They had used it in a Chicago coffee shop. It's just that Greensboro became the most famous and triggering movement or event here. Why is that? Consider what we've just gone through and what we've just looked at. What events have maybe made this or are connected to this becoming all of a sudden an event that takes on a bigger set of eyes, more attention, and a bigger role? We do know and we have read that this leads to significantly more of this being repeated throughout the time period. All right, so thousands participate in this one in particular, and a wave of sit-ins develops, spreading throughout the country. And so this becomes a major strategy used in the civil rights movement. Protesters targeting southern franchises of national chains, big companies. Woolworths was a pretty big company, had been around before. It was a national chain, something everybody recognized, many people used, and so this was a way of getting a lot of attention that way. Different variations of it emerge as well, the sit-in, but lots of focus on integrating lunch counters, hotels, and entertainment facilities. So once this happens at Woolworths, it spreads through other countries, and other people emulate it in a big way. You can see the original lunch counter at the Smithsonian American History Museum in Washington, D.C. It has been taken down, or was taken down at some point, and immortalized there. Remember, now getting into what we talked about yesterday, we're going to have you add and respond to this question, kind of reviewing and pulling out what you know, and coming up with a claim. A claim should have one-sentence statements with a topic. A topic is shown in the visual. You can utilize what's in the source information there too. That was our sample we gave there yesterday. Notice your word clash kind of gave a hint of how and why. And then we just describe what happened there, right? Define the meaning of the topic, or you can, one or the other, but you can do both, but you can describe the characteristics and or kind of what was going on there, and then we expand on it. Remember that it's something that's historically significant and has these traits. We'll let you go ahead and read through them. You notice there are kind of 2 categories here. You're going to try to talk about how it came to that point. What's the background, what's going on behind it. There's evidence and describing events here. That's why I went through some of what I went through at the beginning of the lesson for you. And then on the other side of it, you're talking about why, right? Then you're getting into the reasons, the ideas, the motivations, the people involved, things of that nature as to what happened with that occurrence. All right, so on the Google Classroom here now, you should see a document that looks something like this. You're going to go ahead and use the same structure here. This PowerPoint will be posted there as well, so you can go ahead and refer to it. And you're just going to come up with your own particular response. Notice I put in here kind of a review of what you would write about in this category for the how and the why, and your references over here on the left-hand side for how and the why. All right. Grammar, punctuation, really important with this as well. This should be, again, your own work. I did here provide for you at the beginning to get going, because sometimes the toughest part is getting going. I gave you a stem. I would really encourage you to use this stem to get yourself going for that first topic sentence. All right, so that's your writing assignment for today. Submit after you've responded to all questions here, and start writing. The writing assignment is due here today. And have a good day. Make the hay.